Hey folks, Ted here with XBED and the XBED Ergo Hammock. This is part 2. This is the video where we're going to show you how to deploy the tarp. In the case of bad weather or you want extra shade, this is the video that you want to watch for setting up the tarp. First video, we set up the hammock and you saw how fast that went. This one's a little more involved, but it certainly gives you an expansive cover in any inclement weather or again if you just want the shade. So first thing you want to do is reach in and pull out the Ergo tarp. The Ergo tarp, the first element you want to be grabbing for is the ridge line, and that's defined by these two pieces right here, and you can see the seam that has these extra grab points. It'll be more clear as I suspend it. Each one of these gets anchored to one of the anchor points on the trees. As we get closer here, I'm going to show you the little pockets where the extra cord keepers are. Just pull the cord out. And like all XBED tarps, we use this very simple hook and tension lock so we don't have to use any knots to suspend this hammock, or suspend this particular tarp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, wrap it around the tree, and now I'm going to take this little hook and wrap the cord right into the hook. Locked on really nice. I'm going to take the tension lock, it's a real special tension lock, and slide it up. And whenever I'm pitching the Ergo hammock, I always want to make sure that the tarp is beyond the extent of the hammock itself. You want to make sure the tarp is covering as much of the hammock as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and tension that up like so. I may come back and tighten it even further. Now I follow the ridge line over to the other tree. And I do the same thing. Take the little claw hook, run it around the tree, and snug that up, and then tension the tarp into place. And as it stands, the distance between the trees here is actually narrower than the tarp itself. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize some of these additional little webbing loops. I'm going to unclip the tensioner here and put it onto the second loop of the tarp. It's one of the nice things about the Ergo. There's a lot of adjustability in this whole system, so I can go ahead and accommodate the different expanses of trees. Tighten it up a little bit further on this side, like so. And now I'm going to go ahead and spread the tarp out. Remember, in the Ergo hammock, you are actually sleeping asymmetrically. Instead of hanging from tree to tree, you're sleeping slightly diagonal, and so the tarp itself is also a diagonal cut to accommodate that. I'm going to stretch out as far as I can here. Give us a little height and elevation. Wrap this around the tree. That's already tensioned in place. I like it when the tarp is a little bit higher than the hammock itself, and you'll see this when we play with it later on, because it gives me lots of space to stand up on the inside. I'm going to take the back wing of the tarp, and it too is captured in a nice little cord pocket back here. Pull this all out. I'll be with you in just a second. Just anchoring it to a tree behind me. Again, the nice thing is there's no knots on there. I'm going to loosen that up just a little bit. There we go. And now you can see we've got the tarp, the primary tarp, all pitched. However, we've got these nice little wings on either side. Now these wings, I like to use them depending upon the weather. If it's really nice weather, I'm going to pitch them up high and out. If it's really bad weather, stick with me here, I'm going to go ahead and snug it down tight. I'm going to show you how that works. It works really nicely around the actual tree that I just pitched the hammock on. So run this around the other side. Loosen that up. And now I could go ahead and put it on this corner right here, or I could also again use several of these other attachment points, just depending upon the pitching options available. I'm going to go ahead and do it right here. Slide the hook through the webbing loop, just like that. And then come back over here and tension it right on down. And again, you'll notice I'm not having to do any knots, and that's pretty nice. One thing I find out about knots is that sometimes I tie knots so good that the only way I can get them undone is with a knife. So this way I save my ropes. Let's go to the other side and pitch that. Same thing. The nice thing about these pockets here is that even if I shake them around, the ropes are locked in there. They're not going to self-deploy. So in order to get at the access to the high-out cords, I have to flip the pocket inside out on itself, or right side out, I guess, and pull the cords out. And now I'm going to deploy this in a little bit wider format around all these trees. Give myself a little more air and space. The same thing is happening. I'm just hooking it through the webbing loops that are available here. It's all hooked. Now I go ahead and tension it just like so. So now you can see the space under here is really, really impressive. I can get into the hammock standing up, I can change, I can do whatever I want to, but now I'm completely set up, ready for a good night's sleep. Bug protection, hammock, everything else. Watch for the next video and we'll kind of walk through a few more details. Thanks.